Hi folks, and welcome to Truck King. Today we are looking at two import SUVs. In fact, these are the only two full-size SUVs not built by American manufacturers. On my left is the redesigned Toyota Sequoia, and on my right is actually the quite old Nissan Armada. These things couldn't be more different, and we're going to compare them right now for you and tell you which one is better. Let's talk about power plants. So as we have these two SUVs today is the only way that you can get them. There's only one engine offered on both of them. Over here on the Nissan Armada, it's a naturally aspirated 5.6 liter V8. It makes 400 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque, and that is sent through a 7-speed automatic. Now over here on the Toyota Sequoia, once again, you can only get this power plant. That is the iForce Max. It is a turbocharged 3.5 liter V6 mated to a hybrid setup. Overall system output on the Toyota is 437 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque, and that is sent through a 10-speed automatic transmission. And right now, let's just listen to both of these engines and you can let us know which one you think sounds better. Let's go over the specific vehicles we have today. So right here is the Nissan Armada Platinum. This is the most expensive, most luxurious version of this SUV you can buy. And you can tell that mostly by all the chrome. Just like with a lot of luxury vehicles, you get all the chrome accents up there on the mirror caps, down here in the grille, and that's supposed to set it apart a little bit from other Armadas in the lineup. As we roll down the side, the next thing you're gonna notice is a big set of 22-inch wheels. Those are nice looking, and again, these little chrome vents and chrome accents remind you that it is the Platinum. We do get a set of built-in running boards here in our Platinum as well. They're tucked up really nice, so I kind of like that. Although on a vehicle like this, I wish they were powered, but that's just me. As we get to the back end of this thing, I will mention the tow rating, because of course these are full-size SUVs. You might want to hook up a trailer. Here in Armada, 8,500 pounds can go on your bumper hitch.
Hey everybody, listen, you've heard us talk about the giddy-ups here on the Truck King channel. So this is a new set that I've got in my truck. Now these, unlike the synthetic simple ones that we sold out of last summer, are handmade, all leather, hand stitched. These are unique, these are one of a kind, all made by John out there in Alberta, Canada. And if you're interested in these for your truck, all you have to do is reach out to us at hey@truckking.ca. That's H-E-Y at truckking.ca. We'll send you photos, prices, and delivery information. Do that soon.
And this is the Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. Now, no, this is not a perfect comparison. In a perfect world, this would be a Sequoia capstone because that's the luxury version. But you know what? This is still going to be an interesting comparison because over here, our Toyota, as it sits here in Canada, is $96,000, whereas the Nissan here in Canada is only $82,000. So yes, the Toyota has some more off-road gear, a bit more of a look and a style to it, but it's way more expensive. So that's going to really be probably the most important factor in this review as we keep moving forward. But let me talk to you about TRD Pro. Of course, you're getting unique styling, that big Toyota up there in the grille. One nice thing, the integrated LED light bar up there underneath the Toyota. That is kind of a nice feature they've built into all of these TRD Pros. One less thing for you to have to go to the aftermarket to get. As we roll back in the front, we do have a lift here, a 1.5-inch lift, and you're also getting unique suspension. That is a set of Fox 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks and 18-inch BBS forged wheels plus all-terrain tires. So the wheel and tire package here is obviously quite different from what you'd get on a standard Sequoia, and we'll see how that thing feels once we get it on road. Now, as we roll back, we also get a fixed plastic running board on this thing. I'm a little surprised by that because it's the TRD Pro. I thought they might ditch the running board in favor of more of a rock rail. rail, but they did not do that. Another feature here on our Pro, a nice roof rack up here, just gonna help you mount, well, whatever you want up there, especially if you have a rooftop tent, that is gonna be important. And now as we get around to the back of our Sequoia, I will show you, yes, the glass does individually open. Toyota always loves having glass that opens, whether it's powered or in this case just manual, but that's one feature the Sequoia has that the Armada does not. And finally, when it comes to towing, the Toyota is actually better. This Sequoia can do 9,250 pounds. Let's look at the second and third rows here in the Armada. So we have the captain's chairs package here on our vehicle today. I always like to start off by talking about the child seat situation. So I'll just double check. We do have top tether anchors in both of our captain's chairs, and we have lower latch. One interesting thing to note, the third row of the Armada only has one top tether and no lower latch whatsoever. Definitely an interesting choice and makes that third row a lot more limited when it comes to baby seats. So I'll climb in now. This is 41 inches of second row legroom, and it's a ton. This is my seating position. Actually, I think it might be my dad, but it's a seating position for a big guy, and I still have enough space there, enough knee room. My legs aren't too tall, loads of headroom up there, and I stand at 6'2", so that is nice. When it comes to amenities, I have this massive armrest here. You get a huge storage here just for the second row passengers. A couple cup holders down there, HVAC controls, also heated second row seats, which is nice as well. And then I'm trying to see, that is also hinged forward, so you can open it up just for the second row to access. So a lot of really neat features back here for second row passengers, and your own HVAC vent right up here as well. So nice second. Let's go see what the third is like. These flip forward and tumble. And here I go. I don't think this is going to be very big. Okay, so on paper, this is 28 inches of legroom, and it's not enough. My knees are jammed into the second. My head is jammed into the roof. I do not have enough headroom by a few inches at least. So, yeah, sadly, this is the third row, better reserved for children or people you don't like. This is not a big, roomy third row. Now, I'll point out, I do have power recline. So that's at full recline. It helps a little bit with my headroom, but it doesn't really do much for my knees, and I'm still really tall up here at my feet. So you can recline, but that's about it. Not a super spacious third row. So with that in mind, let's go to the back and see what the storage looks like. So with the third row up, behind it, you're only getting about 14 cubic feet of space. So really not a load of space when you're using this third row. We can take a peek down here. You are getting a little bit of storage, a decent little tray there. And then underneath there, you're getting your tools, your jack, and everything you need to get to the spare tire, which is underneath. Now, if you do fold these and they are powered, it actually opens up to 45 cubic feet of space, which is quite a bit. So this is another vehicle where you're not getting space for people and cargo. You're gonna have to choose. Do you need the third row? Well, then you can't haul a lot of stuff. If you do need to haul a lot of stuff though, well, you're not gonna be using your third row. And then finally, a couple nice tie downs here, and they're kind of all the way around, and then a 12-volt socket at the back end too if you need power. And now let's check out this Sequoia. So first of all, again, the baby seat situation. We have captain's chairs here too. We have lower latch here, and we have top tethers on both of our captain's chairs. And then looking in the back, and we're actually using the one position right now, you get lower latch in one position, and then you only get one top tether. So again, the third rows in both of these SUVs, they don't offer you a lot of choices for installing different baby seats. And as you can tell, my babies have been in here, as evidenced by the stuff left all around this Sequoia. So now let me climb in. This is 39.2 inches of second row legroom, so technically a little less, but it's still plenty. I got plenty of knee room. My legs aren't too high. I am sitting closer to the ceiling here, and I actually have this little indent here, which is helping. If I lean forward, I would hit. So headroom was better in the Armada in the second row, but this is still enough. I'm not going to be hitting constantly. I would be comfortable here. Now, when it comes to amenities, I get an actual plug down here, a 400-watt 3-prong plug, which is pretty handy. I have USB-A and USB-C. Obviously the HVAC controls right there, and then you're getting HVAC vents down here in the center, plus I have my own little HVAC vent right up here in my face, which is nice. And then for the kiddos, sunshades, which we have here in the Toyota, and we didn't have them over there in the Nissan. So there's one little feature which I think makes a big difference. So a nice second row. Let's see what the third's like. So tumble that forward, and here I go. I can mention right now too that the second row in both of these SUVs doesn't slide. A lot of SUVs now, the second row will slide forward or back. This one does not. Neither of them do. Okay, coming up, and trying to fix my headrest there. Not great, but a little bit better. On paper, this actually changes because this seat can slide. So this goes from anywhere between 28 and 33 inches of legroom. I have it in the 33-inch configuration, as much as I can get. And I actually do have just enough knee room here, which is surprising. The issue is headroom, first of all. I am jammed up in the ceiling. And then my legs are sitting kind of tall, which is a little uncomfortable. So the third row here in the Sequoia, still not great for full-size adults or larger than full-size adults, but it is a hair better than the third row over there in the Armada. And now we can see how the storage situation is in the back. So I pointed out the glass opens, but then this is also a powered hatch, which is nice. And so back here, and you can see as evidenced by my bag, again, you're not getting a lot of storage space when the third row is in use. In fact, this is just 14 cubic feet, so you're actually getting less storage. So yes, the third row is a hair better, but the storage is worse. Now I will show you, I'll move my camera bag down. These are powered. So if I want that to fold down, I simply hold the button. So once again, same in both of these SUVs, but what's not the same is the fact that the third row in the Sequoia can slide by quite a few inches. So if you slide it forward, you're giving yourself that much more kind of flat storage space. If you slide it back, you're getting more legroom. So it is nice to have that choice here in the Sequoia as well. The Armada doesn't offer that. Finally, you are getting a plug here too. So this is very common these days. You're getting power back here, and you're getting some of these little tie downs, very similar to the Nissan. And then we can look under the floor here too. Oh, you know what? This is actually a little platform which you can pull out, and then you can install it up here so you can make it a multi-level platform, which is kind of interesting as well. So a couple little different things going on in the back of the Sequoia. But overall, they're really similar. The Sequoia is a little bit better at hauling people, and the Armada is a little bit better at hauling stuff. But for the most part, yeah, these two things are right there with each other. Before we take off, let's look at the cameras here in the Sequoia. So I shifted into reverse, and there's your first view. You get that rear, and then the top down right there as well. And then I can cycle through my views here. That's a front camera. That's looking down the sides of the SUV. You can see the front tires there. And then that's looking rearward down the sides. And this is cool. You can actually cheat it one way or the other, and it goes quite wide depending on what you want to look at, which is neat. Now over here, you probably noticed this button. This is the off-road suite of cameras. So I can turn that on, and we can see you get the inclinometer. On either side, you get that view down the side of the Sequoia, which is pretty cool. I put it back and forward there. You can see the predictive lines, but then easily the coolest off-road camera is right here. It's actually an underbody shot. So what it's doing is taking an image from right in front of the Sequoia and then superimposing it onto your actual SUV right there, so you can see what's underneath your SUV as you roll forward. That is a pretty cool view. And when you go into 4 low, this camera system comes on automatically because they're assuming you're ready to go off-road. So yeah, some pretty nice cameras here in the Toyota. Now we can look at the cameras here in the Armada. So we put it in reverse, And there's your first two views, same as Toyota, the rear view and the top down. But honestly, the camera quality here is just noticeably lower. The picture just doesn't look as nice. Then I can run through the views. So you get down the side of the SUV, just like the Toyota, that's the front and your rear view, or the wide rear, and then back to your main view. So that's all you're getting. And plus, they put this big screen in here, but they only use just over half of it. I'm confused as to why don't they use the whole screen. So this is one of the areas where the Nissan feels like it's showing its age, is when it comes to this camera system, where the Toyota just looks better and has way more views. And now, folks, here we are on the road in the Armada Platinum. So I said straight off the top that this thing is quite old, and that's only sort of true. I have to sort of explain the story. So in 2017, when Nissan went to the next generation Titan, they actually took the Armada and they took it off of the Titan platform. They didn't redesign the platform and then redesign the SUV. What they did in 17 is they started shipping in the Nissan Patrol to North America, which is sold worldwide, and calling it the Armada. Problem is, the last time the Patrol had a major redesign was 2010. So even in 17, when it came to North America and they went, look, it's an all-new Armada, it wasn't an all-new Armada. In fact, it was already quite old. Since then, Dad, they've actually totally redesigned the interior. So we got this whole new center stack, which is pretty nice looking. And of course, in the process, they added a new power plant. So we get this 5.6 V8, you get the 7-speed, but the bones of this vehicle are basically 15 years old. And if we're honest, that can be said about a lot of Nissans right now. Nissan just doesn't seem to have R&D dollars for sort of proper second-gen vehicles or next-gen vehicles, and I think you can look at the Frontier as well. So that's a long way of saying that yes, the bones of what we're sitting in here are quite old, but now I got to throw it to you, Dad, because old doesn't necessarily mean bad. So you're behind the wheel. How does it actually feel? Is any of that oldness coming through, or how does it drive?
What it comes through is that this is a large, heavy SUV. In most parts of the world, this is the kind of a vehicle that they want because, hell, their roads are way worse than ours.
Sure.
And as far as here is concerned, this thing will tow, it will carry you and all your kids and the dog and all your gear. And for all those guys who are very disappointed with the current crop of V6 turbos, you still got a good old-fashioned V8 in here.
Yeah.
So I can see a lot of reasons to like this truck.
Sure, exactly. Naturally aspirated V8, no small turbo, no hybrid, none of that stuff, which basically every other brand has gone to. Nissan keeps it old school, so I appreciate that too.
And that may be because of what you said, that they can't really afford to update it. But on the other hand, one more time, this thing has been around a long time. I'm not really aware of any issues, recalls, systemic problems with this model. So at this point, you got to say that it's been around long enough that it's tried and true.
Sure, yeah, I would agree with you there. Nope. So we're at a standstill now, merging onto a highway. Let's floor it, Dad, let's feel it. Ooh, it sounds good, man.
Definitely has a kick in the pants. That's almost 70 miles an hour right there.
Yeah, that was quick feeling, super smooth power, nice sounding V8. So where the powertrain is concerned, basically everything is good, except for maybe the obvious one, fuel economy. You're not going to put a big massive V8 into a big massive SUV and then not suck up fuel. We've been seeing around 15 miles per gallon, which is actually 15 liters per 100. They actually cross at 15. So yeah, around 15, which for this vehicle, if you told me that, yeah, it doesn't sound crazy for this vehicle, but overall, that's a thirsty number. You're spending a lot at the pump.
The issue is because you're seeing many other vehicles with similar numbers. They're just smaller displacement as far as horsepower goes, but you know, better fuel economy. So yeah, if you want this V8, you got to pay for it at the pumps.
Sure. Now we can take a closer look at the interior, and you know, when it comes to luxury, I think it's all here. The first thing I noticed was how big and comfy these seats are. They're really wide too, which is kind of nice. You're getting this nice leather wrapped around everything, and then just the design in the dash is sort of nice. This big swoopy design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think luxuriousness is all here to warrant the price tag. and probably a little bit nicer looking than the Toyota, I would say. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I call this a lazy boy interior.
Perfect. Yeah.
Honestly, it's just, you sink into the seat and you got lots of room and you can still smack him if you want, but he's way over here pretty much, and everything is big dials, big gauges, easy to see, On the other hand, there's really, there's not a lot of finicky stuff in here, which is one of the things I do like. It's like simple.
Very simple, yeah.
Not a lot of like tiny little buttons and 18 friggin' screens in the dashboard.
Sure.
So I don't know. In some ways, I like that. So
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, I would say old and simple is the way you can sum up the Armada, even when you look at the all-wheel drive system, because this thing is full-time four-wheel drive. So unlike the Toyota, which is more traditional, this is always driving all four wheels. So that's even one more thing you don't have to think about. You're always getting power to all fours.
Yeah, it does have a low range, so it does have a transfer case.
Right.
But, again, old, what? It's got a snow mode. Boom.
That's it.
It doesn't have off-road, Baja, climb the mountain mode, undersea expedition mode. It's just simply, you're either in snow mode or you're just in regular 4i.
Right. Yep. No, absolutely. It is simple. And now I say we go jump in that Sequoia and see how it stacks up.
Fair.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the Sequoia TRD Pro. So I addressed it once, but I'll say it again. No, it's not a perfect comparo. The TRD Pro is obviously the off-road version. The Platinum over there is more of a luxury version. But I will say, Dad, we've been in the Sequoia Capstone. That's the top trim Sequoia, so we do have a good experience in it. And the interior of the Capstone, very similar to this interior. They really just change out the materials, but the layout, the design, the buttons, the knobs are basically the exact same without some of the nicer looking stuff.
Yeah, the color decor.
Yeah, is all a little different.
Is different.
But anyways, my point there is to say that I feel like even though we don't have the perfect comparo here today, we can still speak with some authority on which one is actually nicer, because at least we've been in the luxury version of this Toyota. Now, very much unlike that Armada, this Toyota is actually all new. Just like the Tundra was redesigned, the Sequoia was fully redesigned in 2022. It got a brand new frame, the TNGAF platform. Every single body-on-frame Toyota vehicle now rides on TNGAF, which is also why we got the same powertrain as the Tundra, and I mean, frankly, also the same interior as the Tundra, right? This is basically cut and paste straight out of the Tundra and over here to the Sequoia. So yes, this is a new design, hence the reason we are getting things like a small displacement turbo and a hybrid. That's where the market is kind of going, so Toyota went there as well. And even though the displacement is smaller, the power numbers here are actually quite a bit bigger. So why don't you punch it, Dad, and we can feel the power. Ooh.
Yeah,
well,
it pulls.
It's not crazy quicker than the Nissan, but a little bit, and again, a little smoother. You don't have that sort of rough exhaust note and the more abrupt shifts. This thing to me just felt a little more powerful and a little smoother, wouldn't you say?
Very much so. I mean, listen, it's a good powertrain. The only thing that's getting me is I don't see that the fuel economy is that much better, Steve.
No, sadly, this was our experience in the new Tundra too. This hybrid is not about saving fuel. It seems to be more about power. In this package as it sits, we've been burning around 16 miles per gallon, so worse than the Nissan. Now, I will point out that we have all-terrain tires and a big old roof rack up there, so that's making it a bit worse. But it is still safe to say that the fuel economy, yeah, is probably close to the same between these two SUVs, which is disappointing when one of them has a big V8 and one of them has a turbo V6. You'd expect this hybrid V6 to be better, and it's just straight up not. So get the Sequoia for the power of the powertrain, but don't get it if you're expecting to save fuel, right?
And to be fair, Toyota has never said that the V6 twin turbo was about fuel economy. It's always been about power.
Right. Right, I really think they were scared that people were going to get out of their old 5.7 V8s, get into this, and then think it was underpowered. So they really made sure that no one was going to make that complaint. And yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's underpowered at all, but definitely pretty thirsty. Now, handling wise, I'll just speak to you from what I feel from the passenger seat. But again, I felt like the Nissan, felt more old school in so much that it was leaning around the corners, felt a little more unwieldy, maybe just a little bit less precise in the steering. This feels equally as comfortable, but the body feels better controlled. It feels like we're going around corners, not rolling as much, just a little bit more, controlled and focused in the handling. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's overall the ride it's tighter.
Yeah.
As you said, particularly through corners, the steering is more dialed in. There's no wallow at all in this rig. So, and I think that's again all new architecture.
Yeah, exactly. Where Nissan hasn't bothered to update any of that stuff in forever, Toyota just recently looked at how their trucks were driving. And of course, here on the Sequoia, the old Sequoia and the old Tundra had leaf springs in the back. Now we have the coil springs back there too. So that's certainly helping with this generation of SUV to make it ride so nice. So that's quite a few of our thoughts out there now on interior space, comfort, drive, powertrain. But now we have to get to, in this comparison anyway, what I think is sort of the most important factor, and it is the price. Now, the one positive, and this is generally the case across the industry, the one positive about old platforms and vehicles that get old, they also become affordable. Nissan has had the tooling paid for on that thing for probably 10 years of the 15 that it's been built. So, and they're also enjoying economies of scale because the Armada, which is the Patrol, sorry, I forgot it there, is sold around the world.
Exactly.
So that's a worldwide product. So, getting around to the number now, the Nissan you see in this video as it sits is $82,000 Canadian. The Toyota Sequoia you see in this video as it sits is $96,000 Canadian. And if you decided to go for a Toyota Sequoia capstone, it would be right there around the same in the mid $90,000 mark. So the fact that the Nissan is so old means that that brand can afford to mark it down. So 82 grand for your top trim SUV feels really affordable, especially if you look at Expeditions or Tahoes or Escalades. If you compare to anywhere else in the industry, you're going to realize that the Armada is really undercutting everybody. So I guess now the question we have to put forward are some of those compromises we talked about, fuel economy, handling, is that worth the savings? Is really what it's going to come down to if you're looking to buy one of these things.
You're going to decide that, and one of the issues is those numbers mean a lot if you're buying these and you're driving them pretty much on road all the time.
Sure.
Okay. This Toyota with a rear locker and with the other TRD goodies is set up differently.
Sure.
Okay. I wouldn't really want to take that Armada off-road.
Agreed.
I want to have the four-wheel drive capability just for bad weather, for snow, for a rough cottage road. But whereas the Sequoia is something I would consider more off-roady.
Yeah.
So that also has to have part of the price tag in it.
Sure, I agree with you there. And again, it's worth mentioning that there is no real off-road trim of the Armada. It's not like we just don't have it here today. They just don't do that. Nissan doesn't do what Toyota does and give you the locker and the tires and the suspension. So yeah, I will totally agree with you there. The Sequoia does have a bit of a different usage case when it comes to off-road. But super similar SUVs overall, just you got to decide where you want your dollars to go and what you're willing to live with based on what you're willing to spend. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this video. Now, after testing these two things, they are quite similar. I will say, if off-roading is a priority for you, the Toyota is the clear choice. But honestly, after spending a day with them for everything else, I lean towards the Nissan Armada, and if I had to buy one, this is where my money would go, simply because I'm saving so much money. Sure, it might feel old, but it's nice to see a brand offering us some true value in the luxury segment. Those are not things I feel like I say very often these days, but this Armada feels like an actually good bargain for a big, luxurious SUV, and for that reason alone, I lean towards the Nissan. But now, of course, I need to hear from you, so please go into the comments, let me know which one of these SUVs you would buy. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.